Oh, I was carried away by her. Enchanted by her, as everyone was. And when I was married, I was told I was the luckiest man in the world. She was so lovely, so accomplished, so amusing. She's got the three things that really matter in a wife, everyone said. Breeding, brains, and beauty. And I believed them completely. But I never had a moment's happiness with her. She was incapable of love, or tenderness, or decency.
You didn't love her. You didn't love her.
Do you remember that cliff where you first saw me in Monte Carlo? Well, I went there with Rebecca on our honeymoon. That was when I found out about her. 4 days after we were married. She stood there laughing, her black hair blowing in the wind, and told me all about herself. Everything. Things I'll never tell a living soul. I wanted to kill her. It would have been so easy. Remember the precipice? I frightened you, didn't I? You thought I was mad. Perhaps I was. Perhaps I am mad. It wouldn't make for sanity, would it? Living with the devil. I'll make a bargain with you, she said. You'd look rather foolish trying to divorce me now after 4 days of marriage. So I'll play the part of a devoted wife, mistress of your precious Mandalay. I'll make it the most famous showplace in England, if you like. And people will visit us and envy us and say we're the luckiest, happiest couple in the country. What a grand joke it'll be. What a triumph. I should never have accepted her dirty bargain. But I did. I was younger then and tremendously conscious of the family honor. Family honor. She knew that I'd sacrifice everything rather than stand up in a divorce court and give her away, admit that our marriage was a rotten fraud. You despise me, don't you? As I despise myself. You can't understand what my feelings were. Can you?
Of course I can, darling. Of course I can.
Well, I kept the bargain, and so did she, apparently. Oh, she played the game brilliantly. But after a while, she began to grow careless. She took a flat in London, and she'd stay away for days at a time. Then she started to bring her friends down here. I warned her, but she shrugged her shoulders. What's it got to do with you, she said. She even started on Frank. Poor, faithful Frank. Then there was a cousin of hers, a man named Favel.
Yes, I know him. Came the day you went to London.
Why didn't you tell me?
I didn't like to. I thought it would remind you of Rebecca.
Remind me? As if I needed reminding. Favel used to visit her here in this cottage. I found out about it, and I warned her that if he came here again, I'd shoot them both. One night, when I found that she'd come back quietly from London, I thought that Favel was with her. And I knew then that I couldn't stand this life of filth and deceit any longer. I decided to come down here and have it out with both of them. But she was alone. She was expecting Favel, but he hadn't come. She was lying on the divan, a large tray of cigarette stubs beside her. She looked ill, queer. Suddenly she got up, started to walk toward me. When I have a child, she said, neither you nor anyone else could ever prove it wasn't yours. You'd like to have an heir, wouldn't you, Max, for your precious Mandalay? And she started to laugh. How funny. How supremely, wonderfully funny. I'll be the perfect mother, just as I've been the perfect wife. No one will ever know. It ought to give you the thrill of your life, Max, to watch my son grow bigger day by day, and to know that when you die, Mandalay will be his. She was face to face with me. One hand in her pocket, the other holding a cigarette. She was smiling. Well, Max, what are you going to do about it? Aren't you going to kill me? I suppose I went mad for a moment. I must have struck her. She stood staring at me. She looked almost triumphant. Then she started toward me again, smiling. Suddenly she stumbled and fell. When I looked down, ages afterwards it seemed, she was lying on the floor. She'd struck her head on a heavy piece of ship's tackle. I remember wondering why she was still smiling. And I realized she was dead.
But you didn't kill her. It was an accident.
Who would believe me? I lost my head. I just knew I had to do something. Anything. I carried her out to the boat. It was very dark. There was no moon. I put her in the cabin. When the boat seemed a safe distance from the shore, I took a spike and drove it again and again through the planking of the hull. I opened up the sea cocks and the water began to come in fast. I climbed over into the dinghy and pulled away. I saw the boat heel over and sink. I pulled back into the cove. It started raining.
Maxim, does anyone else know this?
No, no one except you and me.
We must explain it. It's got to be the body of someone you've never seen before.
No, they're bound to know her. Her rings, bracelets she always wore. They'll identify her body. Then they'll remember the other woman. The other woman buried in the crypt.
If they find out it was Rebecca, you must simply say that you made a mistake about the other body. That the day you went to Edgecombe, you were ill. You didn't know what you were doing. Rebecca's dead. That's what we've got to remember. Rebecca's dead. She can't speak. She can't bear witness. She can't harm you anymore. We're the only two people in the world that know, Maxim. You and I.
I told you once that I'd done a very selfish thing in marrying you. You can understand now what I meant. I've loved you, my darling. I shall always love you. But I've known all along that Rebecca would win in the end.
No, no. She hasn't won. No matter what happens now, she hasn't won.
Hello? Oh. Hello, Frank. Hello, Frank, yes. Who? Colonel Julian? Yes, tell him I'll meet him there as soon as I possibly can. What? Well, say, we could talk about that when we're sure about the matter.
What's happened?
Colonel Julian called. He's the chief constable of the county. He's been asked by the police to go to the mortuary. He wanted to know if I could possibly have made a mistake about that other body. Well, Colonel Julian, apparently I did make a mistake about that other body.
The mistake was quite natural under the circumstances. Besides, you went well at the time.
That's nonsense. I was perfectly well.
Oh, don't let it worry you, Maxim. Nobody can blame you for making a mistake. Pity is you've got to go through the same thing all over again.
What do you mean?
Well, there'll have to be another inquest, of course. Same formality and red tape.
Oh.
Wish you could be spared the publicity of it, but I'm afraid that's impossible.
Oh, yes, the publicity.
I suppose Mrs. De Winter went below for something and the squall hit the boat with nobody at the helm. I imagine that's about the solution of it, don't you think so, Crawley?
Oh, yes. Probably the door jammed and she couldn't get on deck again.
Yeah. Tab, boat builder, will undoubtedly come to some such conclusion.
Why, what would he know about it?
Well, he's examining the boat now. Purely as a matter of routine, you know. I'll be at the inquest tomorrow, Maxim. Quite unofficially, you know. We must get together for a game of golf when it's all over, eh? Bye-bye.